Nagbabalik tayo dito sa Kababayan Today. Kasama pa rin natin mula sa Seattle, ang documentarian na si Rey Sabado. So Rey, you're from Seattle. You grew up in Seattle.
I did.
How was it like growing up there? Was there a lot of Filipino people around, and was there a big community?
It was a very big community when I was growing up. And the reason why, because we needed each other. And so the community kind of brought everyone together. And it really started with family. And then it just grew because they felt this connection. So it's a little less now because life changes, you know. Things are a little bit less connected, you know, with Twitter. You don't get to see people, and everyone has different lives. And so it was different back then. But there's still that sense of community that you had growing up. I owe a lot to that community that I didn't know when I was younger.
Yeah,
that I appreciate so much now. Yeah,
the importance of being part of the Filipino community. There seems to be a big disconnect sometimes when you don't belong to your Filipino community because you're not surrounded around people that look like you, that share the same sensibilities, the same history. And I think it's important that we, not just artists, but we collaborate and we talk to each other about our own stories to inspire each other.
And you made a very good point, and it's because of the ability to communicate. There's so many different perspectives within our Filipino community.
Kasi,
and you know that.
Yes, because you know, the Philippines is an archipelago.
Yes.
You know, and we're separated by water. Our dialects are all different. It's a very different experience for each Filipino.
And we're very passionate about what we believe in. So that could lead to sometimes a little bit of conflict. But I think the ability, there's room for all of that. That's my view. There's room for all of it, so let's just be accepting. Because if you want to be accepted, you must accept. And that's kind of the position that I think this documentary will take. And I also think, you know, shed some light on why Filipino-Americans and Filipino nationals and their perspective and why we're here and what's the importance of the history. And it's gonna, I hope, bring us closer together.
Wonderful. We just celebrated Filipino-American History Month in October, and I learned so much about our culture that I didn't know. And speaking about Seattle, I didn't know that a lot of Filipinos like Carlos Bolosan first landed in Seattle.
Right.
Because of all the fishing canneries that were there. So every day I'm learning something new, but there's just not enough media out there.
Yes.
Which is why you need to get your film made.
Exactly. Well, the goal is to do a broad sweep because there are stories in various pockets in America. And I think to frame that in a very high level will allow those individual stories to be a place to come out. And there have been individual stories, you know, in California and here and there, but a little bit fragmented. So I wanted to give maybe a documentary that gave it a position and a place in geography so that these stories then have a relevance and resonate with kind of American history as well.
Wonderful. Okay, let's take a look at a short snippet of Dorothy and Fred.
What do I know about Filipino-Americans?
That they come from the Philippines? That they, you know, that they're.
They have good food.
I love the chicken adobo.
People would ask me, what are you? And I'd say, I'm an American, because that's what my mom said. They say, no, you're not. You're not an American, because I didn't look American. People always disregarded us. We were third or fourth banana to Japanese and Chinese. People just disregarded us. We were nothing. When I was growing up, I felt many times that I was nothing. It's important for us to let people know that we are here. We've done something in this country to help build this country.
If all you know is that Filipinos came, you know, quote unquote, relatively new, there's no sense of ownership in the history of America. It's your identity that makes you who you are. If you don't own who you are, then who are you?
I don't know much about Filipino-American history. I couldn't even begin to tell you. It wasn't taught either.
They were asking questions, and there were no answers.
At the UW, there's nothing on Filipinos and Koreans, next to nothing. And yet we were the two largest groups immigrating from the Far East at that time in the 70s.
But to get anything like maps, as an example, or even flags or anything to show, there was nothing there. And certainly the community, Filipino community of Seattle, didn't have nothing. So we had to search. Ever since I was a kid, especially during World War II, I was always clipping copies of newspapers. If I knew there was something Filipino, I would try and save it.
And one day I was in D.C. I decided to call a friend of mine at the National Endowment for the Humanities. And I called him and I said, you know, I think I'm ready to do a project on the Filipinos on a national scale.
She had some good stuff lying around. Let's put it all together. Let's organize this stuff. And so she finally said to me, you can have at least one drawer. That's where I started.
We were the workers in the fields who produced food for the people to eat. We were the people in Alaska during the wartime. I mean, there were things that we did and people always disregarded us. And when we die, and our parents have died, we're going to be buried here. This is our country.
You just got to see a snippet, a short snippet of Rey Sabado's documentary called Dorothy and Fred. It isn't completed yet. We want to help you make this happen. Please tell us and all the viewers out there how we can help you.
Well, my website right now is sabadoproductions.com, and there's a tab called Dorothy and Fred. And in that tab, it'll give you all of the backstory about how the film was created, where we're at now, our future production needs. Plus, there's a donate button there that allows you to make tax-deductible contributions to help get this documentary produced. Also, proceeds of that really help with the Filipino-American National Historical Society's Seattle chapter to help fund some of their initiatives as well. So the goal is to help everybody. And so as many turns and twists and connections that I could make to secure our heritage, then I want to go there.
Well, you know, you said it best. I will personally donate to make this film happen.
That is
maraming salamat.
Salamat.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining us on Kababayan Today. And we'll see you all again next time, guys.
Thank you so much.